All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive.
This time we're going to be talking about something really interesting.
K-pop
Yes.
and the stock market.
Absolutely.
You might not think that those two things go together.
But we're going to be looking at a recent example
Of how a K-pop song,
can actually cause some serious waves in the financial world.
yeah, it's a fascinating connection.
It is.
And it really highlights how influential K-pop has become.
Right. And for this deep dive, we're going to be looking specifically at a new song.
That just dropped from Rosé Blackpink
Oh, yeah. I heard that one.
and Bruno Mars.
That's a power collab right there.
It is a power collab,
The song is called APT.
and it is blowing up the charts.
I bet.
And it's also causing quite a stir on the South Korean stock market.
Well, yeah, when you have a song that's that popular, it's bound to have some kind of financial impact.
Exactly. So let's break it all down.
First of all, for those who haven't heard APT yet,
Let me tell you, it is catchy.
it hit #1
Wow.
on Spotify's global charts, which is huge,
It's climbing the iTunes charts as well.
and on
The
YouTube.
music video already has.
I think something like 82.9 million views.
That's incredible.
It's a lot of views.
Yeah, and to put that in perspective, it actually even surpassed the 2024 Taylor Swift and Post Malone duet
Oh, wow.
for the biggest male-female debut.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so that kind of global success.
Really gets investors paying attention.
Okay, I can see why they'd be interested. But I'm curious, how does a song's popularity,
Like translate into actual money.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how does it actually affect the stock market?
So it all comes down to potential for profit.
When a song is this popular, it's like a signal to investors that there's a lot of money to be made. You've got streaming revenue, merchandise sales, concerts, licensing deals. All that stuff starts adding up.
Oh, yeah.
And investors see that and they get excited because they're thinking, okay, this company knows how to create hits.
Which means they're likely to keep making money. And if the company is making money,
The value of their stock goes up.
so they rush out and buy stock, hoping to cash in on that success.
Exactly. And in this particular case, the company that we're talking about is YG Plus,
Okay.
which is the company that distributes Rosé's music.
And their stock.
Went up.
Oh, yeah. After APT dropped their shares, jumped by almost 30%.
Wow.
They actually hit a 7-month high.
That's wild.
It is.
So wait a minute, YG Plus.
They distribute the music, but isn't she with like a different company or something?
Yeah, so it gets a little complicated.
Okay.
Because there are actually a few different companies connected to Rosé.
I'm trying to keep it all straight.
I know, right?
There's YG Entertainment,
That's right.
which is the agency behind Blackpink.
Exactly.
And then I know that she's also been doing some solo work.
And that's with the Black label?
Mm-hmm.
And then YG Plus is also in the mix.
It is.
So how does this all fit together,
Okay, so basically you've got YG Entertainment, which is the big parent company,
right?
and then they have subsidiaries
Kind of like smaller branches of the company.
that focus on specific artists and projects.
So the Black label is like a subsidiary of YG Entertainment.
Exactly, and that's where Rosé moved over to for her solo career.
Okay, that makes sense.
But YG Plus, which is another subsidiary of YG Entertainment.
They still handle the distribution of her music, even though she's under the Black label.
Oh, okay, so even though she's doing her solo thing,
It's still all connected back to that YG family.
right, and that's why you see this kind of ripple effect where the success of one artist can impact a whole network of companies.
So when Rosé wins, everyone in that YG family potentially wins.
Yeah, it's like a win-win situation.
And that's what gets investors all excited.
Absolutely, and this is especially interesting in the context of the South Korean stock market.
What do you mean?
Well, the South Korean stock market is known for being very reactive.
Oh, really?
Yeah, investors there are really tuned in to the global success of K-pop.
Why is that?
Well, K-pop is a huge cultural export for South Korea.
It is.
It's a source of national pride.
And it's a major economic driver for the country.
So when a K-pop group or artist achieves international success, like we're seeing with Rosé,
It's seen as a positive sign for the whole country's economy
so investors are essentially betting on the continued growth.
and influence of K-pop.
Exactly. They see it as a good investment.
That's interesting. You know, there's another little detail about APT that I wanted to bring up.
What's that?
Did you know that the title,
Is actually a reference to a Korean drinking game.
oh yeah, a part two,
Yeah,
had heard about that.
which means apartment.
Right.
And it's just fascinating to me how something
so specifically Korean
can become part of this huge global hit.
It's really cool.
It is. It really shows the power of cultural crossover.
It does, and it shows how K-pop is really good at blending Korean culture
with these global trends in a way that really captures people's attention.
I totally agree.
But here's the thing that I find a little confusing.
Okay.
We're talking about all this success.
This huge stock surge for YG+.
But if you look at YG Entertainment, the parent company, their stocks is actually down for the year.
Yeah, by about 22.5%.
That doesn't make sense.
Well, that's where we had to zoom out and look at the bigger picture.
What do you mean?
Well, the music industry as a whole is going through a lot of changes right now.
And that creates uncertainty for investors.
So even though K-pop is super popular,
the companies behind it are still figuring out how to navigate all these changes.
Exactly. It's a really dynamic landscape right now.
What kind of changes are we talking about?
Well, the rise of streaming services, for example.
Oh, yeah.
That has completely transformed how people consume music.
And that's impacted revenue streams for music companies.
Because they're not selling as many physical albums.
Right. And it's also creating new challenges for agencies, particularly in K-pop.
Where the traditional model has been very focused on physical album sales and concerts.
So they're having to adapt.
Exactly.
So I guess that explains why there's this disconnect.
Where a song like APT can create this short-term boost for a company like YG+.
But the long-term financial stability of these companies is still up in the air.
It's definitely something to keep an eye on.
It is. So what's the main takeaway from all of this?
Well, it's clear that K-pop has this incredible global reach and influence.
But whether that translates into consistent financial success for the companies behind it,
that's a different story. But
it makes you wonder,
as K-pop continues to grow,
will investors figure out how to capitalize on that success in a more predictable way?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is, or is the music industry just inherently unpredictable?
It's a tough one.
It really is. But here's something for you to think about as you keep exploring the world of K-pop.
Okay.
Imagine you were an investor.
How would you approach the K-pop market?
Would you be drawn to the excitement of these short-term wins?
Or would you be looking for signs of long-term stability?
It's a really interesting question.
It is. There's no easy answer.
Definitely a lot to think about.
It's a fascinating puzzle, and I encourage you to keep digging.
I think I will.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive, everybody.
We'll catch you next time.